Hey there, dog lovers! Did you know that nearly 40% of serious canine illnesses go unnoticed until it's too late? That's right, almost half of our furry friends could be suffering in silence, and we might not even realize it. Scary, isn't it? Think about it this way. As humans, we know that a headache combined with fatigue and loss of appetite could signal something more serious than just a bad day. But what about our dogs? They can't tell us when they're feeling under the weather, so it's up to us to play detective. Today, we're diving deep into the subtle signs that your dog might be seriously ill, signs you might be missing every single day. Because let's face it, you don't want your four-legged best friend to be in pain without you even knowing, right? So let's get into it. We're going to cover some common, subtle signs of illness in dogs that you might be overlooking. First up, let's talk about changes in behavior. Now, we all have our off days, and so do our dogs. But persistent changes? That's when your alarm bells should start ringing. Imagine this. Your usually energetic Labrador suddenly prefers napping to playing fetch. Or maybe your typically calm Basset Hound is suddenly bouncing off the walls. These could be signs that something's not quite right. But it's not just about energy levels. If your friendly neighborhood pup starts growling at familiar faces, or if your social butterfly suddenly becomes a recluse, it's time to pay attention. These behavioral changes could be your dog's way of saying, hey, I'm not feeling so hot. Now let's move on to eating and drinking habits. You know your dog's relationship with food better than anyone. So if your chow hound suddenly turns his nose up at dinner, or if your picky eater starts inhaling everything in sight, it's time to take notice. But it's not just about how much they're eating, pay attention to how they're eating too. Is your dog taking longer to finish meals? Are they dropping food while eating? These could be signs of dental issues or even something more serious. And don't forget about water. If you're constantly refilling the water bowl or if it's staying full for days, something could be up. Excessive thirst can be a sign of diabetes or kidney problems, while decreased water intake could indicate various issues. Let's talk about physical changes. We're not just talking about the obvious stuff like limping or visible wounds. We're talking about the sneaky changes that creep up on you. Has your dog lost weight without a change in diet? Or maybe they've packed on a few extra pounds for no apparent reason. These could be signs of underlying health issues. And what about that gorgeous coat if it's looking a bit dull, or if you're suddenly finding more fur on your clothes than usual? It might be more than just a bad hair day. Skin and coat changes can signal anything from allergies to hormonal imbalances. Now, I know it's not the most pleasant topic, but we need to talk about bathroom habits. Your dog's waste can tell you a lot about their health. Are they asking to go out more frequently? Or maybe they're straining when they pee. These could be signs of urinary tract infections or even bladder stones. And let's not forget about number 2. Changes in stool consistency or color can indicate digestive issues, parasites, or even more serious conditions. Alright, now that we've covered the general signs, let's dive into some specific symptoms that might seem minor but could actually be red flags for serious illnesses. First up, bad breath. Now, I know what you're thinking. My dog's breath always stinks. But we're talking about breath that's worse than usual. If your dog's breath could knock you out at 10 paces, it might be more than just normal dog breath. It could be a sign of dental disease, which, if left untreated, can lead to serious health problems. But it's not just about teeth. Really foul breath can also be a sign of kidney disease. Next, let's talk about breathing. Is your dog panting more than usual even when they're not hot or haven't been exercising? Or maybe you've noticed a persistent cough. These could be early signs of heart or respiratory problems. Don't brush it off as just getting older. Your dog might be trying to tell you something's wrong. Now, here's one that's easy to miss: subtle limping or favoring a limb. We're not talking about obvious limping after a wild game of fetch. We're talking about those slight changes in gait that you might not notice unless you're really paying attention. Maybe your dog is a little slower getting up from their bed, or they're not quite as eager to climb the stairs. These could be early signs of arthritis or other joint problems. And speaking of beds, let's talk about sleep patterns. Has your night owl suddenly become an early bird? Or maybe your early riser is now sleeping in? Changes in sleep patterns can be a sign of pain or even cognitive dysfunction in older dogs. Now, I know this all sounds pretty scary, but here's the thing. Catching these signs early can make all the difference. So when should you consult a vet? Well, if you notice any of these signs persisting for more than a day or two, it's time to make that call. And if you're seeing a combination of these subtle signs, don't wait. Get your furry friend checked out. But don't just wait for signs of trouble. Regular checkups are key to catching problems before they become serious. Think of it as an investment in your dog's health and happiness. Now, I can hear some of you saying, but how am I supposed to keep track of all this? Don't worry, I've got you covered. One of the best things you can do is keep a health journal for your dog. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just a notebook where you jot down any changes you notice. Eating less on Tuesday? Write it down. Sleeping more than usual on Friday? Make a note of it. This can help you spot patterns and provide valuable information for your vet. And speaking of keeping track, how about doing regular at-home physical exams? Once a week, take some time to really check your dog out. Run your hands over their body, checking for any lumps or bumps. Look at their eyes, ears, and mouth. Check their paws and between their toes. Not only will this help you catch any changes early, but it's also a great bonding experience. But here's the most important thing. Understand your dog's normal. Every dog is different, and what's normal for one might be a red flag for another. So pay attention to your dog's usual habits and behaviors. The better you know your dog's normal, the quicker you'll be able to spot when something's off. Remember, your dog relies on you to be their voice. They can't tell you when something's wrong, so it's up to you to be their health detective. Stay vigilant, trust your instincts, and don't hesitate to reach out to your vet if something seems off. Stay observant, stay proactive, and give your dog the best chance at a long, healthy life. Because at the end of the day, that's what being a great pet parent is all about.